So welcome to today again. Today is September the 21st, 2024 in conventional dates and times and conventional world. So today I'd like to invite you to practice along the theme of right view. Well, I guess it's not really a practice. It's a right view really is a stimulus for practice and also the result of practice. That's the way I can see it. It's like uh, I'll give a talk on it later this morning, and it's more of a right understand. It's more of an understanding about things and seeing things from a particular perspective. So there's no one practice you can do for develop right view, but I think if you develop insight, one gets aligned with right view. So this morning, I'll invite you to a meditation practice, as always. And I think the meditation practice, I might just do it as one practice. Uh, and I might ring a bell in the middle for anybody who wants to shift and so on, because we'll shift into um, the different stages of this meditation. The one practice I'll do will be, first of all, inviting you to cultivate warm benevolence or metta as a good grounding. And then I'll invite you to relax and relax your body, calm your mind. So that's the serenity component. And then I'll invite you to just sit, just be present, sit. Um, I'll invite you to open your eyes and let your gaze drop to the floor or drop to somewhere that's not kind of moving around if you can, um, and be present. Just be present with experience. Sometimes we could call this bare awareness. Um, Sometimes we could call it silent samadhi, but it will be just being just sitting. I mean, sometimes it's called just sitting actually. In Japanese, shikantaza is called just sitting. That's what it translates as. Um, but essentially, it will be to just see what's happening right now. Really come into the present. And when you're coming into the present, and I'll invite you to some cues for this. When you're coming into the present, you begin to see thoughts as thoughts and emotions as mind states as mind states, sensations as sensations, feelings as feelings, and so on. And you start to see through our illusions of these experiences as solid and lasting things. Um, so that's basically it. So there'll be um, some heart quality, then some serenity. And what I might do after the serenity section of this, I might just ring the bell once for those people who would like to move, and we'll just stay in serenity for those people who want to keep sitting. We'll stay, relaxing and calming our minds. And then I'll invite you to move into this presence, this bare awareness, this uh, being open to the moment in this moment rather than following on thoughts, not doing anything, and also not doing anything. It's just being in this moment without putting anything into it. If you want to think about the different types of meditation, the first half of this meditation will be essentially directed meditation, and the second half will be undirected meditation. So directed and undirected. Directed means that we're doing something. And with serenity practice, we generally do something. With high qualities, we generally do something. We're absorbing into the quality of warm benevolence, compassion, appreciative joy, or equanimity with the heart qualities meditations. So we're absorbing into something. We're putting our mind into something. Um, and with this serenity practices, it's similar. It's like serenity practices usually have one object that they focus on, that you focus on, or you absorb into, and it's kind of prioritizing that object over everything else, and you become absorbed in that object, whether that object be the breath or a mantra or state of mind or whatever it is, one is absorbing into that single object. So in doing that, you have a sense of unity with that experience, like a blending, an absorption into it, and it absorbing into you. So that's those two, they're both what's called directed meditations. The insight section, the insight half that we'll do with the meditation, is more about not directing your mind. It's like sitting back and just being aware of what's going on. And in that, you're not doing anything, but you're receiving, you're more receptive and just sitting back and letting awareness, letting mindfulness transform to, go along those seven factors of awakening, like mindfulness, and there's a kind of curiosity. So you're not that you're doing curiosity, you're just kind of aware and seeing and having interest in something. And there is this kind of slight inquiry. Then you have energy, and then you have joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. It is this undirected meditation is about sitting back and allowing yourself to wake up, basically. It's about waking up. You're seeing things from an awakened perspective, which is completely now, just now. So, you might be sitting there and thoughts will come up, thoughts about yesterday or thoughts about the week that you're still starting to process. And that's okay. It's just that we don't kind of get caught up in those thoughts. We just let those thoughts come and go without engaging in them, without uh, making more out of them than what they are, without kind of letting them become um, a readout of reality. They're not a direct readout of reality. They're just thoughts. They're just mental events. Because the reality of what we're experiencing is just this, just sight, sounds, smells, touches, taste, and mental phenomena, mental experiences. And this awareness is about just seeing those things as they are. So that's what we'll do this morning. And after that, we'll have some silent meditation. I don't know how long that guided meditation will go for. Um, yeah, probably half an hour, maybe, or 45 minutes. As I said, I'll ring a bell in the middle. I'll ring a bell at the beginning. I'll ring a bell at the middle, and I'll ring a bell at the end. So if you feel like moving or shifting your posture because it's hard to sit, or lie or stay in that posture, we'll do that. You can do that at the beginning, that middle bell. If you feel like sitting all the way through, that's fine. You just sit through for the first bell and the last bell. Okay. So as usual, we'll have a break at Australian Standard Time, 10:30, I think. Is it 10:30? Oh no, 10:40, sorry. Sorry, 10:40 or 10:45. We'll have a break for a cup of tea or whatever you want to do, go to the toilet or something. And then we'll reconvene at 11 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. for a Dharma talk. And the Dharma talk today will be on the topic of right view, which is a bit of a mix of a few different talks that I've given over the last couple of months, and also a mix of a chapter that I've written on mindfulness and the Eightfold Path, a few other things, a few reflections. I gave a talk on this. It's very similar to this topic last year in response to the Gaza crisis, the Gaza crisis, the war and so on, and voicing how I thought that a lot of war is based on views, but people have different views. So yes, I'm going to mute them all. Somebody's asked, can everyone mute themselves? And I'm just about to mute everyone, mute all, because sometimes people come through. Yeah. You got a question, Nick?
Yeah, just quickly on the undirected, should we be doing any like noting or
You can note if you like, but I'd suggest I know noting is a tool of mindfulness. It's a great tool. Uh, I'm going to invite you to see if you can not note, because noting becomes like another kind of concept and perception. And essentially, bare attention or bare awareness exercises, um, essentially, then about not getting into concepts, not feeding into concepts, and so on. If you want to think about it as signless samadhi, the instructions for signless samadhi are not to not to feed into signs. Signs are concepts. Signs are perceptions. So we have a percep. Like I'm looking out my window, I'm having a perception of tree, and I could feed into that. I could start to think about, oh, that tree needs to be cut, and so on and so forth. Um, it begins with a perception, and then it starts to kind of proliferate from there. And what we do with signless samadhi is we just have the perspective of signlessness, which is not picking up on the signs. The signs are the way we recognize things. Like I recognize the leaf out there, and I recognize Nick as I'm looking at your picture on the screen. Uh, they're, the- they're signs of things are sometimes very useful in meditation, but in this meditation, it's signless. It's not picking up on the signs. It's not feeding into it. So it's like that. It's close to that sutta by Bahaya, the Bahaya Sutta. It's close to that, but it's not exactly the same. In the Bahaya Sutta, and this is just my opinion, in the Bahaya Sutta, uh, the Buddha instructs Bahia to, in the seeing, just be with seeing, in the hearing, let there be just hearing, in the bodily sensing, let there be just bodily sensing, and in the cognizing, let there be just cognizing. It's different to the instructions, slightly different. This is just my opinion. It's just my observation. It's slightly different than the instructions of signless samadhi, where the instructions are to uh, to perceive bare awareness prior to perceptions, prior to the naming of something, prior to feeding into it what you're seeing or what you're hearing or what you're smelling or what you're tasting or what you're perceiving and what you're thinking with a kind of a conceptual framework around it, or a concepts around it. Sorry. So it's pretty hard. It's kind of raw experience, being with raw experience. So with the Bahya Sutta, the Buddha says, when you're cognizing, just in the cognizing, let there be just the cognizing. In other words, you're sort of sitting back and watching the thoughts. It doesn't sort of, with Sina Samadhi, it's kind of prior to even that, if that makes sense. But it's not about trying. It's about just sort of seeing. If you start trying, oh, am I doing sinus samadhi now, or am I doing, this bare awareness? Then you're aware of that, if that makes sense. And you let it go. It's a being aware of stuff and letting it go, coming to the perspective of just bare awareness. Okay. I hope that's clear. All right. Any other questions? Oh, sorry, I didn't finish with the agenda for the day. So 11 o'clock, we'll have Dharma talk, and we might have another meditation after that, or we may not. I'm not sure. It depends on where people are going with discussion and so on, and questions and comments. Um, and then we break for lunch at 12:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. We have an hour for lunch, and then we come back. Sometimes we break a little bit later, but we still have an hour for lunch. Then we come back and we have either two silent sits, or a silent sit and a silent walk, or two walks, or whatever we feel is suitable for us. We could just sit completely, for that hour. And then at 2:30, we have some Dharma discussion, which is kind of like a roundup and how you, like a bit of a, not a debrief, but a bit of a sharing of how you went for today, how did you go with your meditations and practice and anything else you like, actually, but not talking about TV. I'm not talking about TV programs. I'm over that for the moment. Okay. Thanks a lot. I'm going to turn off the recording now, and then we'll move into the meditation.